Hi again. So, see, I guess I shouldn't say what I feel nervous about because I said I feel nervous about the technology of this, and suddenly it stopped working. So, this is Gateway. This is the day of the launch of my book, and I'm very excited. I've been writing the book forever, but sitting in a chair writing it so that I have a whole different relationship with my chiropractor for 4 years straight. And this wonderful process of writing something that is trying to come through you. Many of you have heard of this, and I've heard of it certainly, and I experienced it a little bit in graduate school, but honestly, I just had to sit down and discipline myself to allow this work to come through me. So it's a gift, and it's a gift for me too, and a gift for you. And what it talks about is the wisdom of 12-step spirituality. I love 12-step recovery. Saved my life over 30 years ago. I know, seems impossible. Maybe not to you, but to me it does for sure. But there is a culture within that recovery program that keeps people in a recovery mode for life as opposed to an expansion mode. It says that we're getting on a bridge back to life. And in fact, a lot of people camp out on the bridge because they get panicked. Part of it is at step 11, which says that we utilize prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand God. Now, many of us have tons of wounding around God, around that whole, and remember, God is just a name that people made up for this force that creates the universe, this force that breathes us, that breathed the universe. But a lot of people have a lot of wounding around that. So, there are some people within the way the 12-step programs work, and they're all, self-run, so it has to do with the culture of a place, and, who make it very punitive and like a punitive Christianity they grew up with. I want to read you what the founders said about spirituality and the 12 steps. Almost immediately, people tried to make it something much different than this. So here's what the founders said. To us, the realm of spirit is broad, roomy, all-inclusive, never exclusive or forbidding to those who earnestly seek. It is open, we believe, to all. That's the nature, the tone of the spirituality that's discussed in the 12 steps. Much of it through the work of Emmett Fox and his Sermon on the Mount, A Metaphysical Teacher, and through a lot of different sources. Now, here are a couple of things I just want to clear up on this whole spirituality notion, so that maybe you can open to this and have a little fun with it, because the 12 steps really are a spiritual path. Beyond the basic recovery part of it, then the way we really live this thing is that we begin to practice this spiritual path, and we do it through service, we do it through introspection, and I'm suggesting we do it through many, many wonderful tools. And you can see that there are, I'm going to tell you this. My publisher asked me to hold up a few of these, and a couple of people have pointed out it's a little rough to see, but you can see, wow, that's sacred geometry and the Sephirot, the Kabbalah Sephirot, there are chakras, this beautiful painting by my friend Dina, and here we get at the back, this devotedness. This is what this book is about. It's about how to find an expansive spiritual life that supports you, sure, being sober, working the beginning part of the 12 steps, but then how to expand and work these steps in a deeper, deeper, deeper way that is, as the founders tell us, broad, roomy, all-inclusive, never exclusive or forbidding to those who earnestly seek. Okay, as a woman in recovery, I can tell you this much. It's really tacky to be a woman drunk. It just really is. I mean, you have to do so much stuff to cover it up and act like it's cool and all this. Pretend what you will, my friends. It's just not cool. So, okay. So you have all that shame and plus all that 94 personalities trying to cover up and be a good mother, good friend, good, happy, sweet girl with, great fashion sense. But if you're also a drunk, it's very tacky. So, the program originally was created for men, by men. And that's who was at least admitting that they were having a problem with alcohol then. You're right. I mean, so... And there was one woman, Marty Mann, who was part of the beginning, but one woman, that was it. So it was a distinctly patriarchal world. So there became this kind of culture of like telling people to take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth. I can tell you this. I could probably, well, I couldn't buy the Brooklyn Bridge, but I like to pretend that I could have bought the Brooklyn Bridge with the money I have spent on therapy to get over people saying stuff to me that was putting me down. So I don't know many women who need to hear one more word of take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth. We don't need to be talked to that way. Maybe guys do, and maybe that's something that really motivates guys. I see it out on the sports field, and when I used to run, I mean, people go, keep going, keep going. I really had a strong reaction to that. I don't know what, but anyway, we're different. We're different, but we're all sensitive. And this is not just a book for women, but this is me, my voice, translating what this spiritual journey has been like for me. See, I did have to go back and look at who I was, and I'm still learning that, which is, I think we all have the great, just unbelievably great experiment of being able to do that our whole lives. But it's good to get on a path so you're not flailing around trying to figure out who you are. But you're able to really kind of get a little more focus going with that, right? So in figuring out who I was, I came upon some amends I needed to make. I came upon some anger I had at people. I came upon some unbelievable sadness about my childhood that I didn't even know. I mean, I knew some stuff. There were like some storylines. We all have storylines. Those storylines aren't that helpful. Really, they cover up what's really going on. And what's really going on is sometimes some really sad, traumatic stuff. So, over the years, I met some fantastic people who helped me walk through the way the steps work to help you uncover all of these things. Then I got to this spiritual thing, and I started going back to church, and I had been raised Presbyterian. I remember my brother Paul and I went to a Presbyterian church, and I'm newly sober, and I had decided I was an atheist years before, so felt good to go in there. It was cool and kind of I don't know, it was cool. We recognized the music, and then this minister started preaching, and it was just like so punishing and punitive. We literally got up and ran out the door. Now, as a minister myself now, I know that's not a good feeling to have people come in your church and sit there, hi, we're here for the day, and then go, and leave, but oh well. So I have been searching for a traditional religious path ever since then, and I ended up becoming an ordained minister. But here's what I want to tell you about the gateways. Much of what I share in the gateways originally came from my own experience and from many tools I applied seeking out holistic healers who taught me many, many, many things, which I have passed on to other people, which are successful and have worked. Then I went to seminary. I became a minister. What? I mean, how could that even happen? But, life is weird. Anyway, as I began to study in seminary, I began to recognize in this lived Jesus path of the Jesus of the Nag Hammadi scrolls. Many of you have heard of the Gnostic Gospels. Well, this is a whole other Jesus, and this is really just fascinating work. And I began to think, this is very much like the 12 steps. What's happening? I'm seeing corollaries, and I did independent studies and studied the origins of the steps. So part of my research for this has been really my own lived experience. And then a lot of this has been doing scholarly work to see what the context was in which they developed, how the steps and the teaching of them relates to other developmental healing systems. And I go like this because they go from the bottom up. The chakra system, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the Kabbalah Sephirot, the meridian system, Chinese meridian system. And that's an ancient healing system. Homeopathy. Homeopathy works in certain ways very much like the 12-step process of healing work. It's a very mystical, interesting process. Okay. So going along the course of this growth path, I have seen many, many people relapse. And I think a lot of people relapse because they don't really embrace some kind of spirituality that works for them. And again, remember what I said, nobody, no woman I know, I don't think anybody I know, but certainly not women, need to go back into any building anywhere to have somebody tell them they're bad. We are so self-condemning if we're not following the norm we think we should be following. I don't need to be preached at by you, right? So if I can find something that teaches me how to find out what's right with me, then I can start building on that, and I can share that with you. I can share that with others. I can really, really share that. And that's how I have lived and continue to live this spiritual path, and teach and use with people this spiritual path that's really backed up by a backbone or a spine of the 12 steps. One thing I want to clarify, and then I'm going to let you rush out to Amazon and buy this. And it would be great if you could buy it today, because today is the official launch day for purchase. And if you buy it today, it will get recorded as part of our stats. And then we'll be an Amazon #1 bestseller. And this will take us to, I don't know where, but we have to, it would be cool to do that. Okay, so, but one of the things I wanted to just talk about today is that this is a real inner spiral kind of growth path that can take you through all of life. But you don't have to get stuck in a pathology-based understanding of who you are or what your addiction, or even if not addiction, I think this works for everybody, what it really means. What it means. So in the late 90s, a wonderful movement developed called strength-based social work, really. It came out of the field of social work, where many good things originate. And again, these people who were doing social work began to draw upon the human potential social workers like Maslow, who looked at what are highly achieving, highly actualized people doing with their lives. Don't tell me what the sickest person on the planet is doing and then diagnose me based on that. Tell me what highly actualized people are doing and how that potential exists within me. So that tunes in with the human potential movement, the New Thought movement. Very exciting work began to be done. But still in the treatment field, it hasn't been fully integrated into a strength-based model. I think if you're smart enough to figure out at a young age, or whatever age, that you want to be part of life, but your anxiety or your fear or your trauma is not allowing that to happen, and you find some drug or some behavior that's calming you down enough that you can be part of life for a while, I think that's genius. That's called resilience. But drugs develop tolerance. That's the problem with drugs. Drugs develop tolerance, and so do these behaviors. You can only zap yourself with cortisol for so many years, and then you're just a wreck. So the thing is, then we do have to do the inner work. But the hope is that by the time you get there, you're in a safe enough place to find something like, ta-da, the Gateways, which is really a great companion guide to 12-step living, right? So I really recommend it. I mean, the thing is, I wrote it, but I also love it. I mean, I lived it. And I've seen these things work in people. And the program of AA promises something that I don't see a whole lot of people really manifest. You can disagree, obviously. But we are told that we're going to be happy, joyous, and free. And I don't think you can be hiding behind some identity, I'm a sick person, and kind of afraid to integrate into the larger world in a really dynamic way. If you, I don't think you can do that unless you really are fully functioning. And I think that the spiritual path of the 12 steps really carries us across that threshold into being able to do service at a wider level. So I have created a lot of really interesting ideas in here. Some of them have to do with history and are really, really fascinating. And how the program got started and all that kind of stuff. The 12 steps are not the 10 commandments. The 12 steps were discovered organically, and I'm going to talk about that in the third Facebook Live today. But they're not something imposed from on high. They are something that organically developed, and then somebody asked these original guys, how does this work? And they were like, how does it work? Now there's a chapter in the big book that says how it works, because they followed their own progress. So this is an organic healing method, and it correlates with many holistic healing methods over the years. Okay, so it's pretty exciting, and the book is actually fun, and you can replicate a lot of these rituals and exercises. You can use the different gemstones and wonderful additional things that I go into in each gateway to augment your path and to decorate your house. Anyway, I hope you all are having a great day. I'm just going to tell you, I was extremely nervous about having to do these Facebook Live things today. Go figure, I was. But I'm hoping that you're getting a feeling for the book and that it's a book you can use, right? It's a book you can use, not something to like put on a counter or something. I really think it's going to be a reference. And when you are feeling a certain thing, you go back and say, okay, I'd like to work on this, blah, blah, blah. It's at the base of the spine. What can I use to work on it? There are tools here. Go out and buy it. The Gateways, The Wisdom of 12-Step Spirituality by Jane Galloway, published by Sacred Stories Publishing. Have a great, great afternoon.